7:01, we call the meeting to order, roll call. Richard's here, Joe's here.
Carlos is here.
Carlos is here, Frank is here. No? I read the minutes, we approved the minutes. We'll approve the minutes from the meeting last time. Management has a summary, where she's gonna give a financial report.
Putting your financial report now, it is only a draft.
We don't need all the delinquents, just the balance sheet and the...
Okay, just to let you know real quick, that was from Delmet Accounting. I'm printing your financials. Joe, you can see this. I'm printing the other two right now. Sorry?
So if the check is balanced, they don't know if they wrote a check.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they don't know what it's check.
Sorry?
You can't do a complete financial report because they received a bounce check from somebody. Our check don't bounce.
Yeah, why wouldn't they be able to just load that on there?
Put it in and out.
Right.
That's it, they would just have to need to do an entry, and that's it. They just didn't do the entry, so
Just so you know, the financials are 61 pages, and I will print one
I
out.
did see that, yeah.
I saw it.
Do I print it out?
Yeah, we don't need
We don't need any of this. We only need the financial report.
I understand
Yeah,
that it's
we have it.
printing.
Okay, well,
But
we're gonna need...
this is what Thelma Craig sent an explanation of it. As a board, I have to give you the information.
I think they just do a balance sheet and statements, just the first 4 pages.
Yeah, we don't need the first 4 pages. We don't need to do all 60 pages. We
Okay.
don't need all the delinquents.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's 61 pages on there.
yeah. The first 4 or 5 pages.
Right.
Yeah,
We
we're-
should be able to do it.
We need where it stops with the bank account, the statements of the bank.
Right.
How many government employees do we have that might be affected by the shutdown?
Oh, my best friend works for FBI. She's not getting paid now.
My nephew works for the FBI. Well, now he does. Now he works for Homeland Security.
They're still not getting paid.
No.
No. We're on hold.
Would you stop that?
But he makes a couple $100,000 a year. He's like a
He's only get paid.
big shot. Yeah, I'm sure he has money in his...
Even people do that caviar,
You
still,
think,
you're paid without
think.
a
Savings account.
Right,
Yeah.
cover.
No!
Financial.
you think they have enough money to hold on. That ain't, you're getting the report?
Okay, want to go on to something different before we skip this?
We'll do the
We'll
whole.
go to old business, board member vacancy. We have a vacancy on the board member. I'd like to nominate Nodina Vitra as our board member.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Oh.
Okay, now you're on the board. You're ready to take care of
Your board member.
What I did, County has already confirmed Christina's excellence.
Why, no, she is, you know.
We did our homework.
My husband makes sure.
Architectural Control Committee vacancy.
Nobody here to volunteer for it, so we're gonna skip that. Grievance
I
committee.
thought that's why she was here, no?
No, she's Dina's friend. She's here to babysit Dina's kids.
Grievance Committee vacancy, okay. Total access control, we gotta wait for her. Board members' concerns.
With the insurance policy, was that approved?
Yes, for the
Bound it.
commercial package, that was bound yesterday.
Right, okay.
Yep.
We didn't
So
find
we're
out how
still
much it was.
revisiting, we're still looking at workers' comp, crime, and I'll get back to the board members with like the presentation, the pros and cons of those two policies.
Yeah, what I was thinking, from Richard about it, is that, we need to make a decision as the board itself. So,
Right.
whatever, you have a new policy, we might need to compare, look at the old policy, look at the new policy, then make a decision.
Right. Which is exactly what we'll do. Well, we had to bind the commercial package, and it's a good
Right.
policy. The policy we had before did not had a firearms exclusion, while this one does not. And the rates are about the same. As far as the change, the new rate versus the last year's rate, it's flat from the
So in
year.
other words, instead of we're getting more.
More coverage, important coverage.
Right.
Right. Because we don't want a firearms exclusion.
Well, none of us carry firearms to a meeting. Do you carry your firearm to a meeting?
I do.
Where is it?
I don't have it now.
There you go.
See?
It's just kind of like, we think this is a safe zone here, but.
I could make a motion that we don't bring firearms.
Inside the meeting, yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
We could do that as a board if we wanted to, not allow any concealed weapons.
You're on here, you can see what it is. And the fire inside there.
Just leave it.
Diane,
The,
it can't be printed.
Just leave it. Henry will take
I
it.
didn't get it.
So-
There's an issue with the copy machine.
No, we-
that's fine.
Actually, I printed it at work, but I didn't go pick up my print shop because it's.
So,
John,
just a note, I spoke to,
I
Nat.
know, it's gonna take 60 pages in here. It's gonna take forever in my phone to pick it up. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
We need a bigger phone.
there it is. It's the first 4 pages.
Our financials, there's 61 pages long.
Because of all the delinquents? Do we have more people paying than not paying?
Well, that's something that we have to look at very carefully. And we need to, one of the recommendations I had was to agree to meeting on the board meeting to prepare a plan as to how we can start reducing the delinquencies. We can look at the options of what we can do. I don't have any ideas, but let's look at the numbers to see if what the numbers are, the delinquencies are what they were the year before, how are they trending in any direction, are they?
I guess we need to ask Diane, she might know, what's the percentage of homeowners that are delinquent?
Yeah, that's what we
Right, we want to
We
see
need to
that,
know that.
Because we have several that are not paying, but
and also the dollar amount, because they could be
Did you
delinquent.
read this?
It's just too small for me to at this
No,
time.
did you read it?
No, because I received this in the afternoon and I printed it, but I didn't pick it up. I've yet to read it. This was just published. And it's difficult for me to read it like.
Me too, I can't.
It's too, for my eyes.
so,
So what I was saying is that it's good, you're absolutely right it's good to look at the percentage of delinquency in terms of the number of homeowners as well as the dollars, because you could have it flat, the same number, but the dollars, getting, deteriorating, or that debt getting bigger and bigger, larger and larger. So we want to look at that, and then we want to see how does it change from, let's say, quarter to quarter, from year to year. Just because we look at a number, let's look at that same number the year before, and the year, maybe even the year before that, to see if it's if there's a trend. If it's getting worse.
Where is the same people
Exactly.
doing this?
Right.
and see who are the repeat offenders.
Yes.
Do we know who are renters versus homeowners? Or do we not know that yet?
We should.
Do we have what?
Do we know who's a renter and
We
who's a
should,
homeowner?
yeah, because when somebody
Was that
buys,
recently? Because I remember when we moved in, the board at that time, nobody knew anything and
Diane
we
is,
recorded. But
Diane's-
somebody gets
Well,
together.
I think there's an application, right?
yeah, they have to fill out,
Yeah.
we have to know who's renting.
Well, this is one of the things I want to talk about tonight, about,
Right,
she believes, but me here to hear this, It doesn't do any good to talk if she's not here.
But who's not here?
We only need the first few pages.
No, but I have to print for everyone.
No,
Give us
we don't need
one.
that.
No, also,
Let's go.
Joe, Carlos, one important aspect that I see with the delinquencies is to break them up between fines and the actual, whatever's due on the maintenance, which is a real obligation. I mean, you know, the homeowners could fight the association for citation for a violation and the legal fees, but not as far as the maintenance, because that's,
Oh, yeah, no,
that is the
absolutely.
bylaws, they have to do the maintenance.
Right,
If
absolutely.
you want to bring that up,
It didn't print out, Diane, it didn't print out the financial statement.
And Richard, you wanted to bring up the issue with,
So we only needed page one, look, page one, or actually page 2, 3.
first 5 pages.
Okay, so what I gave you, you just need the additional?
We need page 2, 3, and 4, that's it. That's not even, yeah, 2, 3, and 4, that's all we need.
you wanted to discuss the 2-year term on homeowners owning
She
their homes.
needs to be here for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's still, wait until she gets back here, it doesn't make sense. Because we need, we have that in the record, for the minutes, you know, so.
We only need one copy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Well, Dave wanted to cut sheet, so give me a second.
We can talk about that, we're on.
We should also get together and talk about the situation with total entry and the setup of the system or the.
I spoke to George, the owner of the Total Entry,
Yes.
and Diane sent out, he sent an email kind of detailing how everything's gonna work. It's more or less how he explained it to me. He's ready to go as soon as he gets
Right.
the information to put in the database of all the homeowners,
Mhm.
which he's gonna put in there the west as well. We have that information. I haven't spoken to the west about
What about, like-
what they're gonna do,
Right, like,
because that's, you know, we have a lot of homeowners that are not supposed to come in through there. They send them over here and vice versa, and it's a big mess for
That's
them.
not supposed to be.
Huh?
has
That's
he,
not true, because I had my sister and brother-in-law came here on the weekend, my sons come here, my granddaughters have come here, they all call my house from over there, they all come in
I'm not
from
saying that.
there.
I'll give you an example. There was a truck this morning, a roofing truck.
I heard about it, oh, you did a different.
We didn't let him in through the east. He came in through the west, but yet he came to one of our homes to do work. We have no clue who it is. That's the problem we have. We're not communicating now, so we have to, have to talk to them and see how we
do
can.
they not log in?
Work that out.
They try to get in,
I don't know what they're
the
doing.
security? I mean, that would be the thing to do, maybe.
So he can't get it, we said you can't come in here, so he drives around over there.
No, he didn't even try to come in through here. I asked the guard. The truck didn't even come in through here. The truck came out of one of our homes on the east, but yet came in through the west. Why would they let him in to do work on one of our roofs?
They called, that's all they asked him to do.
Yeah. But we don't,
Well, I keep telling you that we voted on it to stop the equipment coming in unless the people have filled out the architectural.
and we're doing that on our side.
But it's
But
really
they
hard
go
to
around.
tell somebody.
We put a gate.
Huh?
No, can't legally do that.
That was
borrowed when I was on.
Put a wall. Donald Trump, we're calling Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
We decided that Mexico wasn't gonna pay for the wall, so we were gonna put it up.
We'll all do yard sales.
Let's keep
to
it official
raise-
here.
pay our
So
money.
anyway, there's a lot of issues in the entrance. I asked a security company to come and give us a quote for the cameras, because we have to update all the 8 cameras, I think I counted. They're so outdated, we can't get license tags. We can probably do away with the thought of the spike strips. I still have to find out if that's legal and how we do it. But the cameras, to to put a camera on the exit when the cars go out, to put a camera on that light post so we can get tags.
And you should see who's.
So we
going
can
out.
look at license tags. And then the cameras that are around the clubhouse, around the guardhouse, and the 4 that are on the pole at the entrance, those cameras are gonna be able to catch tags coming in, tags going out. We just have to change those cameras. I think because that's a serious problem that we have at the entrance. We have no security at our entrance because the cameras don't catch anything.
And where, even the video that's being recorded, where's that video?
It's in a DVR
Where's the DVR though?
inside the guardhouse. But
So
the
what if
problem
somebody
is,
steals the DVR, or if it gets wet, or if it
oh
gets...
yeah, we can keep it in a lockbox. They have lockboxes for DVRs. That's not a big deal. But the cameras aren't catching any definition. The tow truck came in the other day. He just forced himself in through the exit lane in cahoots with a homeowner who opened the gate for him. As soon as he opened the gate for him, he forced himself in. We don't know who the guy is. Our cameras didn't catch license tag or anything. There was a big truck that Tony wasn't letting in at that moment, a commercial truck. So he was covering the cameras, and we don't have a camera on the visitor, on the other side. So that's what I have this guy come, he's gonna give us a proposal. It's not gonna be cheap, I think, but we need to have good cameras in the entrance. That's our biggest asset. Everything that happens in this community goes through there.
What about adding an actual physical gate that moves? So like my father's neighborhood has the pole, so the pole comes up and the gate opens, and then the minute you pass that pole, it comes down right behind you, and then the gate closes.
It is a good
In both
idea.
directions.
It is a good idea.
This I have.
It all-
Is there 2 entrances?
Yeah, there's 2 entrances, they can go in through the other side.
Yeah.
At least with good cameras, we know who's coming in and who's going out.
I mean, why won't the West work with us, with the gate? I mean, I know this has been for years.
Yeah,
I
I
had-
haven't spoken
I've
to the
had
new
several
board.
meetings.
I don't think we need any more.
Okay, well, I know.
No, please,
Okay,
that's not it.
all right.
We don't, I gave them, I called the guy that's doing our gates, I gave them the number of the guy that's doing it, they wouldn't call him.
Is it a money issue?
No,
No,
they're spending much more money over there. I think, I'm not sure, but in my imagination, somebody's doing something crooked, because, if you have a quote, to do work for $15,000, and you're gonna take a quote for $30,000, there's something,
Somebody's gonna pick that.
no, and they just don't wanna cooperate at all.
well,
I mean,
we can just assume,
But it's not our board, we can't do anything.
but we don't.
Have we ever gone to a board, can we physically go to a board meeting?
Well, sure you can.
You think we don't have a home over there?
You can't vote or ask anything, but
You
you
can't
can
ask
vote.
them, you can just hear. If
I
you're
don't-
not
they don't-
voting
they don't
on it,
have- they don't have-
They don't have meetings.
They don't have meetings.
They have a meeting once a month,
To.
off-site.
So this picks up
Okay.
from the occupancy.
So as far as the cameras, as soon as I get the quote, I'll present it to the board.
You don't present, you can present to them, because I don't wanna, no, because
We need- we
we're
need-
security, to me, security is only as good as if you're not a criminal. To me, security is only good for honest people. No, if you've got a criminal knows how to get.
Well, the only thing, Carlos,
any
we
kind of
put a camera on
security.
our side, and
We
we
have cameras
waste
there.
all that money.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
We still have that problem, so until they're going to cooperate with
Well, that-
us, we're
That's what
just
I was-
wasting our money
Well, I've
on.
been saying for years, that's what I've been saying for years. We can put up, instead of concrete, steel barricades at our front entrance that open up only when the guard gets all of their identification, passport and everything. No, and it's still not gonna do any good unless the 2 sides are working together.
Correct.
I sent you our agreement so you could read it,
Right.
I sent you one too.
Yeah, which I'll talk to them about, hopefully I can get a hold of them. But I'm still,
I'm not sure that's true, though. You're right, but then the argument is, if you have 2 easy accesses and you cut one off, it's easier to focus on that
We
one.
don't need to discuss it. Three of you can decide and vote, and I'll go along with
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's right, I know.
We'll figure it out, because I'm.
Richard is right, but to
Yeah.
some extent, I think that if we at least try to,
Well, that's what we've been doing, that's why we put this system in that we have now. We've been trying to do as much as we can, but not spending a fortune of money, because until they cooperate with us, it really doesn't do much good. But it doesn't, and it might pay to change our cameras, we want our cameras working.
I noticed.
But
Yeah, I
don't
already
decide
said
that,
that.
whatever you do, I'll go along with it, no?
Yeah.
We only have like one camera at the end.
Let's go to
No, we
management
have
summary.
about 8 cameras at the entrance,
Do we have a
and
summary?
they're all updated.
Excuse me? Do we have a summary, a management summary?
Okay, we can move on.
Okay, so we skip that. Want to go to financial report?
Don't slam the door.
We have about $307,000 in the bank. So we're doing okay.
We're doing fine. So, if nobody has any more questions on the financials?
Well, I will later, like,
Okay.
gate maintenance, 30,000, but I'll speak. I'll speak
Okay,
to you.
we filled our board member vacancy,
Right.
yeah. We can't do anything about any other committees because we don't have anybody. Total, give us an update on, you sent emails, I know, on the total access for the entry with Jorge,
I did.
Yeah,
and you get a response.
He did respond, he said they're working on a couple of things, and I asked him to call me. Haven't spoke with him yet, and I'm hoping he can come out to the property tomorrow.
Well, tell Don, we don't want hope.
I agree with you 150%.
Tell him it's unsatisfactory.
Has he,
It's been
can
too
we
long.
ask him, this is an idea, and I've done this with suppliers, with vendors before, where I see if they're not progressing like they should, and even when they are, at the beginning, I'll ask them for a plan, like a timetable showing what they, actions.
Sure, scope of work, absolutely.
Well, not so much scope of work, but actual action plan showing
He sent that.
target date.
He sent months ago. Here's the
Oh,
whole
well,
thing.
it's something we need to update.
This
Some of the
guy,
changes.
this guy installed all the equipment.
Yeah,
Everything's installed.
okay.
Put all new arms, all new boxes, all new
Okay.
everything in there, you know? And sent a plan on how he's gonna deliver the stickers,
Right.
you know? And set the system up. Back in, before they began.
June, I believe it was.
Yeah. Everything was done. And then since then, he just, then he said we needed a different computer because our computer didn't speak English. I said, that's ridiculous. So all you do is go change the setting on the computer from Spanish to English, and the computer speaks English again.
Yeah.
No, then he came back and said, no, because our computer is no good. She convinced me that let's give him a check for half. Yeah, she did convince.
I didn't convince you, I merely presented.
in my opinion, we should have given him a deposit
We don't have to-
until
We
he
don't
was
have to.
gonna move forward.
We don't
That's-
have to pay him that when we give him the balance, we can take it off the balance. You know what I'm saying? We gave it to him, I didn't want any more, just get this done. No, you want, well, how much should we give him? $1,200?
Yes, sir.
We give him $1,200 deposit for a computer that he's supposed to have, and everything was supposed to be included in our contract. So we can argue about that when he finishes, no? Meanwhile, we still owe him $11,000, $10,000, $11,000, no, which we want to pay him, no.
I'll get a hold of him tomorrow.
Yes, Mr.
Let's move on. I'll get a hold of him tomorrow, and I'll see if we can arrange for him to come over
I
here.
think the whole thing with the computer, to be honest with you, was all something to delay them doing the input. In his contract, I made them before we would sign the contract, include that everything was inputted and the system was working, no, so we didn't have to do any work. Because then they're gonna say, well, no, your people did it wrong, you know how the people, they go back and forth. So we wanted,
Right, and but there should be no.
we wanted to complete
Right.
the.
I read through the contract
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah.
but also,
But we-
and nowhere in that does it intend to show that we have any responsibility
No.
for any of the work.
Right.
This should be work that he does entirely.
Yeah, the only thing is after the contract,
Unless we, lock the door, prevent him, from having access.
we've we've called him so many times.
So what I think we should do, Carlos, is rather than just meet with him, right, we should have him come in, but with an actual plan to show us dates and actual work or actions that he intends to take on those dates, and what he will accomplish with each, action.
Not sure, management isn't sure if you saw a recent email to George specifically mentioning every item that you suggested that we want to, what day are we going to be operational? That is what I need to know. What day is the PC coming? I assume
I don't
it's
think
this
that's
week.
really good enough. I think we need to get him to give us more detail as to what he will be doing, because just to get him to agree to a date, simply he won't meet that date.
Inclusive and agreement with what you're saying.
The only thing we need to do, Frank,
I'm just
is
not
input all of the homeowners.
Yeah, I'm just
Into
not
the
sure
system,
he knows
which
what
comes
he's doing.
in like
That's
it
my
comes in and move it from one thing to another. And then issue the decals, just so each homeowner
The
has
tags
their
are
decal.
going to be pre-programmed.
And then give us a stack of decals that will probably have to sit over here, a couple of Saturdays or whatever.
And hand them out to the homeowners.
And have them fill out a form for their cars. We also want, that's why I wanted you here to talk about that. When we do give out the decals, we want to find out in the form that we're going to give them to fill out for the car that we're going to input into the computer, if they're not an owner, if they're a renter. Owners are simple, because you just do that by the, if they're a renter,
With the current copies of their
if
lease.
they're a renter, we
etc.
want a copy of their lease to make sure that they're not a squatter.
Agreed, and
Yeah.
that everyone on the lease
Yeah.
is who we have. We had a homeowner the other day that 2 people are on the lease and they want 6 vehicle tags. So I politely, and part of them are part of the West, and the real estate person who's handling it, along with the entity that owns the home. The lease was prepared, it's from the entity sent it to us. The real estate person is family of the members that have come in, as well as living in West. And all of a sudden, I have driver's licenses, registrations, and insurance for 6 vehicles. So I politely told him, you're entitled to 2, ask for your lease. The lease does not list additional occupants. I promise you, our management company is very thorough on who's recognized. But getting back to total access, everything that you have mentioned has been requested in that format with Mr. Angulo. I'm giving Mr. Angulo from Total Access until 12 p.m. on Friday.
So has he responded?
But he put, I don't know
I
why,
received it.
the email that he sent explains everything that we're discussing. I read
You
the
are
email.
correct.
It's a lengthy,
But
He's done that
many
We
times
have
though,
received
Carlos.
numerous
He's done this many
Yes.
times. He'll send us a long email and tell you, and describe exactly what he's gonna do, but then they don't
There's no
finish.
follow through.
The email
They
that I read
they don't
from
do
that long
anything
email-
because they haven't done anything. It's
Is
just
this the email from about 2 weeks or?
No,
No,
he
this
sent
is
another
just-
one today.
this is today.
Okay.
I'll talk to
Today.
him. I'll talk to him and have
Thank
him,
you, thank you.
and get a deadline on this, because we need to move forward.
I
Can we
will
move
Am I
to
allowed
next
to
meeting?
interject or have to wait till next week?
Who?
I mean, next month.
As of right now, we nominated yet,
And we voted and we said yes.
right?
So,
Does that have to be approved
She's part
next
of the
month?
board, she's
Yeah.
here, she should be
You're
sitting
here, you
at the
can sit
table.
at the
Dina, you
table.
should be sitting at the table,
yep.
and please
I'll
present your
move over,
questions.
move down,
And
Frank.
kindly
Put another
kindly
seat in.
announce, in fact, if you'd like to sit here too,
No,
please.
that's fine.
So you can interject.
When West Side is getting decals too?
Their own, another company. Remember,
So
they're separate
they're-
from us.
Separate,
They're
separate,
cooperating with us with
they're
that?
separate.
Supposedly, you told me that they were gonna give us,
The lady told me, which is, this is only gossip, not confirmed.
Hearsay.
yeah,
One of the ladies that's on the board that she didn't have much say, told me that they were gonna give everybody on Marbella East 2 decals.
yeah, which I don't,
And if you wanted more, you had to pay, but I don't believe that.
no. I don't-
I'm just saying, that's just was gossip.
And they have
We-
their own, so now we're gonna have 2
Well,
different
they-
stickers. Well, we always did.
They don't have it
The
yet.
one-
See, we were under the assumption that they were gonna go with our company because it made more sense. Because we've already had the whole system put in. Their system would be a quarter of what it cost us because they didn't need new arms in the front. Their arms are new. The one we needed to rebuild because our machinery was under the water.
Right.
So we needed to put all those new towers in, so all the equipment's up here instead of down on the floor, the way the builder did. So we thought they were gonna go with our company, because first of all, they were the cheapest for the decals, they were the least expensive, but now they're not doing it, I don't know, they might be right, they shouldn't have gone with that.
And-
So they're gonna go with another company.
As an update, as of January 1st, they have also hired a new security company. So they have a different
Yeah, we're
security
not-
company on the west, and they don't utilize the same system that we use here for access of vehicles.
Which we have no control over.
Management is requesting information and will solicit to the board. The common area is the roadways. There should be a legal agreement with both associations.
Sure.
What I'm saying is for paying for paving and for,
We
We
didn't-
already did pay in a
We
while.
paid her
right, you paved on your side, but because there's activity from both communities, it's a.
We're not gonna get into that, don't even mention that ever, that we won't speak to that again, because their thought is that more people come in on their side than on our
Not
side.
anymore,
Huh?
not anymore.
That's their thought.
Yeah, well,
I think
not
you're right.
anymore.
I think you're right, because there's a
There's a
lot
lot of
of
homeowners frustrated over there, and now they're coming in through here.
I see much more traffic at 8 on 87.
Well,
Maybe on-
And again, Mr. Verde, I don't know if you or anyone on the board will be speaking with the other community,
I'm gonna try.
but because each side is allowed access to get to their home from either side, there's nothing preventing anyone from doing that.
Well, get
I
that
suggest-
agreement, let them write us a check for $250,000 for the streets we just
Yeah.
redid.
Management suggests that you
Won't
obtain a
happen.
legal agreement for a cost and share and have something implemented.
That won't ever happen.
No, that's.
We can't even get them to agree on using the same gate company, we're in trouble. Okay, let's go to new business, change of rules and regulations.
A new business.
Right, change of rules and regulations. I'd like to change the rule and regulation, and attach it to our state, papers, that we
Be
would,
recorded downtown.
I'd like to make a motion, that we change the rules and regulations to make anybody buying a house in Marbella Park, needs to live in it for 2 years
Before they
before
rent.
they can rent it.
I'll second that.
Second,
All in favor?
Mr. Verde seconds. All in favor, motion carried. Do we
Everybody
have a new
voted yes.
motion?
Let me check the bylaws, and it does allow that. I think, and
Yeah.
the lawyer checked. I mean, I checked and it looks
We
fine.
looked at it, and absolutely do it.
Yeah, but an attorney looks
So
at it.
as soon as possible, we'd like to get that, okay?
An attorney did look at that as well, right?
Well, yeah, when they file it, I'm sure that you'll give it to Edo, right?
Yeah, just to double check. I mean, we
Yeah.
looked at it and it looks fine, but
Yeah.
When you prepare the
We'll
documents,
prepare, we'll submit it to
make
the
sure
board
the lawyer.
to have your confirmation that that's what you're requesting in writing, to
Right.
have your signature on it, and then we will forward it to the entity.
Okay, and we'll all sign it, like we approved now.
okay, we have any board members concerned?
Do you have any
Yeah,
rule-
I have-
Any new rules, any other rules, pets, any other new rules for the association?
No, just some concerns. I have 3 concerns. One, just after Christmas, I visited was home at my house, and she called the shuttle company to come and pick her up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And when we shuttled back to the gates, he couldn't communicate with her because she speaks no English. And the driver speaks no Spanish. So they were there trying, I don't know, about 10, 15 minutes. They couldn't talk to each other.
Okay, explain that to me again. They had a shutter
The
company?
shuttle,
Oh, shuttle.
the shuttle.
Taxi
Okay.
service.
Right, came in and was come to my house.
Right.
The guard did speak no English.
But they could just say, I'm going to Joe Miller's house.
They don't
She should
understand.
understand that.
She does not understand. When they call me and they're like, Ruthie, and I'm like, yeah, let them in. I don't even know how many in.
They eventually called the house after about 10 minutes, and they couldn't communicate with us either. So, as you said, well, let them in because we knew that there are coming at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, my argument is, my question is that supposed to happen? Do we have
Good if
it?
they were bilingual.
No.
The official language of Florida is English, multi-language.
I see that could be a big problem if there's an actual incident.
Can
And
I-
there
Yes.
has to be a police report. That would put us in a defensive position if there's English being spoken and they're not able to. So, I mean,
Well, let's do that vice versa. On the other side, they don't speak a drop of Spanish. At
why are
least,
we concerned about the other side?
because at least our guards
It's an
speak a
example.
little bit of English,
An example.
you know? So, there's no law that says they have to speak English.
There's no law.
I don't even wanna
they have
get
to
into that.
Speak Spanish either, I don't really wanna get into that.
No, I don't wanna
I
get into
think, just
We
for
just have to
you,
work on
but
that.
for everybody in the neighborhood, if you're expecting a car service or something, like what I do, if I'm expecting somebody, I call the gate and I tell them, I know, you can't call the gate, because they don't speak English. But you can call me and say, hey, Richard, call the gate and tell
Like
them.
a written request sheet and written in English?
But this is easy.
Wait, can I
We
say,
have,
something? No? Okay. Can we, this is just an idea, could we give the guards who only speak Spanish a written instruction sheet that they, in English, that they can hand over to the person to, basically, I don't know, I ask them for like the phone number they're trying to call or the address, providing the address.
I have a better way.
Frank, with respect.
We're trying to get away with all that papers. They use papers or whatever. I went in there the other day.
No, this is
and-
not a paper you would fill out, this is a sheet. This is
Or a sheet.
Like, what is your address, what address are you trying to?
Okay, you just give them here.
Yeah, but this is it's a.
Write down the telephone number.
There you go.
In-
That's it.
in
But that's not-
English.
that's-
Write down the telephone
That's it.
number of
That's
the
exactly-
homeowner, so I can call, get their address, so I can call them.
Management can prepare a paper.
That's
To
all I'm
let
saying.
them know to please contact the
Oh,
resident who
right.
they're trying to reach, to please contact the guard.
There you go, that's all I'm saying.
If you put it in the comments on the system, they'll read the comments and they don't need a paper.
I agree.
Joe Miller has comments in his name, in his address saying.
But he doesn't
he's
know
not
the address.
received.
The guard doesn't. Well,
They didn't know the address where they were going?
they're not communicating.
I'm not able to say
Some people
8345
know their
in
address.
Spanish.
Okay,
But they're not
can you tell
communicating.
them? Hey, David,
Correct.
So,
Is
so
it-
how can the guard look up an address if they're not communicating?
With respect
Or did I miss
to the
something?
board, the system that the guards use, they use sometimes for Spanish language. Whatever management puts in the system is in English. I'm not sure how that's working out, but management has received numerous complaints that they're ineffective at the guard station. Management tries to handle whatever calls come in during the day. I'm not sure what is happening at night, but I do believe the responsibility falls on the resident. If they are receiving visitors or they call for a company, a delivery, a pickup, that it's their responsibility to notify the guard station whatever they need to do so that there's access for their person coming in. It's not
Yeah,
the
if he
guard's
calls, but
responsibility.
if he calls the guard service, if he calls the guard house and says, I have an Uber on the way, please let it in, and the guard doesn't understand what he's saying and he can't speak
That's the
Spanish to
problem.
them, there's the problem.
I don't think it's that bad.
So can we request,
I don't
no,
think
it is that
that either,
bad.
but,
It is.
No,
It is because I don't speak a lick of Spanish, except for
If
a
you
few
don't
words
speak
here and there.
Spanish, the problem is if you don't speak Spanish, it's that big. If you do speak Spanish, No, it's not that bad, because they understand both languages, so it
I
doesn't
sat
make a
in a
difference.
meeting
I
today,
heard
But if you don't speak
parents,
Spanish, it's that bad.
and back and forth, English and Spanish was the longest meeting of my life.
Another thing.
I think they need to
Yeah.
be able to be bilingual.
Another thing I noticed, and, when I'm at home and I'm expecting, like, a delivery or whatever, they'll call me, and I know I'm expecting a call.
Right,
I don't
exactly.
understand at all what they're saying.
Say when.
I can't recognize the name that they're pronouncing.
Mhm.
Let's say it's Joe's Truck Service, it'll be Jario, whatever. And
No, I don't understand, they're speaking Spanish, like
No, they're not speaking
my
Spanish.
brother-in-law's name is Alberto, and they call me up and tell me, Shimaru is here. I'm going,
I never understand that. Yeah, and I know I'm expecting, I'll say,
so that's an
Anyway, let's see if we can solve this problem.
Okay.
We'll fix it. I don't think this is a real major issue, we'll fix it.
All right. Secondly, the last meeting, we talked about, the roof here, too.
Yes, sir. We're soliciting bids and companies. We're trying to get insurance for the vendors coming in.
Well,
Carlos and I use a service.
Oh, can we stop it just a second and let me go about this insurance deal? Because you sent me an email today that you sent an email to Glenn, you know,
Right.
about his insurance. This insurance has gotten way, way, way too picky, you know? And Glenn is not cutting our trees ever now because you sent this email. He's never going to cut our tree, never going to work for us except for cutting lawns and our shrubbery.
And what reason did he give?
Is that gonna cut the palm trees?
Because y'all want him, you all want hold you liable, and did you read
So,
the email?
so what we asked him was very simple.
No, what you asked him, he's not gonna do, he's just not gonna work for us, to do that. He's not gonna do it. So now we can get a bid from our tree trimming
The reason-
company, and our tree trimming company, instead of charging us $1,800,
The
is gonna charge us
reason he will not, the reason
$10,000.
he will not cut the trees is because he's not insured. Cut trees, it's very.
Yes, he's only insured up to 14 feet.
He's not even insured for that.
Yes.
Because otherwise his
Okay,
agent.
but I'm talking to you about this insurance deal. I
It's
have
a phone
I
call
have
to an agency.
I have
The
7
agency-
people that work for me, now, for 40 years, you know? And they all have their own little liability insurance policy for their, they have no other insurance, you know? And I realize we're a big organization, you know, but we do have insurance to cover some things. But we cannot make our subcontractors, other than have the insurance that they actually need, go on this.
They need that insurance. They need to be insured to cut trees.
I'm never gonna get through with this.
No, you're not with me.
Well,
Not on that
well,
topic.
Then let's
They
vote
have
on
to be
this.
insured.
I wanna do, but we're not gonna send, I would like to make a motion.
So they,
And we're not gonna
about
talk
the
to
risks.
any of our subcontractors again without about insurance, without the entire board voting on this is what we wanna tell them. No,
What do you mean what we want to tell them?
I
What
don't
exactly
know, I
do we
don't
need?
want to send an
We
email
can't
like
change
that.
the rules. The rules have to be set as to what the requirements are for insurance, and you can't change those rules on a case-by-case basis. If it requires certain insurance such as liability and work comp, and if
Which
you
he
have to
has.
pay more,
Which he
you will
has.
have to pay. He does not have insurance.
Well, because we don't want that, we do not want it to be that specific.
What do you mean
Otherwise,
specific?
we're gonna lose all of our vendors, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna end.
Because you're using
Wait, just
vendors
wait
for
one
non-
Gentlemen,
Okay.
Frank, before we make any of those inquiries or
What
try
inquiries?
to modify what policies or whatever, shouldn't the board sit down and discuss it before we?
As long as the board understands the pros and cons of what the decisions they're making. You can't make a decision on insurance
Let me say
unless you
something.
understand what the repercussions are if you were hiring somebody who's not properly insured.
How does he fall from a tree?
That's right.
He has insurance to
Or
pay for
does
it.
he have insurance today, and that's
That's
high up
right.
and cut the palm?
No, he has insurance to go 14 feet up in the air. His bucket,
The certificate of insurance, the most recent certificate of insurance, okay, which the agent produced, he would have said, look, the job that I was hired to do is to cut trees. Produce a certificate of insurance for that. It takes 24 hours for the agent, I've been dealing with insurance long enough, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours if the agent's busy. They'll produce the certificate exactly the way you asked that certificate to be produced, so long as the insurance, as long as it is insured.
Okay,
There's
we
no
hear-
work for him, no, there's no work for him to do other than a phone call to his agent. That certificate should have clearly shown
What the
that
project is
he's insured for that, plus,
Can I just say,
There's no mention-
you're missing the point.
there is no,
You're
I'm not
missing-
missing
Yes, you
anything.
are missing the point.
Management
Okay,
understands.
I'm only trying to, missing the point only on this. Y'all can do
What does
whatever
the
you want.
property
I don't
manager
care.
have to say about it?
I'm saying, I don't want to hear what they have to say about it either. I've already talked to Jim about this. I would like to just you understand one thing. When the hurricane came, you know, Glenn said he would come and clean up all the shrubbery and cut all the trees and do all the thing, no, for $8,000. It cost us $22,000 because we had the same thing that he didn't have insurance for cutting trees, only for cutting lawns and bushes. No, because he didn't have liability, and he didn't want to get it. Okay? He didn't want to get it, which is the same thing here. He don't care that he could call his agent and just get it like that. He just doesn't want to get it. He wants to stay with just what he has. No, he's a redneck gardener. No, and that's what he likes to do. Well, that's the truth. It's the truth. So instead of paying $8,000, we pay, and when you want some trees cut now, so you can do that. You can do everything exactly as you think the liability is going to fall on you. You can do it that way, and then the neighbors, each neighbor is going to just pay that much more all the time, and the more you do this with making people have more and more and more insurance, the more it costs the neighbor, the
Okay,
more.
how many trees, first of all, okay, so, how many trees do we have that need to be cut?
I have no idea.
Seven. And it's a one-time shot. So once you cut that tree,
If I said
this is not
seven
something
trees,
you're doing next year.
I can go out there and cost $18,000.
Yeah, so all we're doing is we're going to, okay, first of all, he won't do the work because he's not insured. That's why, that's the only reason. Right.
Let me give my 2 cents worth.
Okay, let me finish my 2 cents.
Okay.
And the next thing is we want to, we just need to get 2 or 3 other quotes from tree cutting companies who are properly insured, find out how much they charge. So if it's $1,200 more than he would have charged, this is a one-time shot. You're not cutting trees every year, and it's over 385 homes, and the area to focus is collecting maintenance from that's where we should spend our effort and time, and make sure that those people who are up on cherry pickers are properly insured, because if that guy is up there on a cherry picker and he's drunk and he falls out, we're in a pickle unless we have, because the lawyers are going to ask for a certificate of insurance to see what's covered.
I agree.
I do.
Yeah.
We make every other vendor on this property who comes on the property.
I know you're insurance adverse, I can tell you are.
No,
and you're one of the
insurance
few
to be
people in
sensible.
business
I only want to
who's-
be sensible.
Very few people in business I've ever encountered who's so as insurance adverse as you, who's actually
I don't believe in doing things that are unnecessary. I don't believe
What
in.
is your
I don't
necessary?
believe
When I
in.
got my kitchen done,
Uh-huh.
I made sure they had insurance and they had to show it to me. Because God forbid, when I wasn't there, and they were there with my father-in-law, and they were taking down the old cabinets, and they cut their finger, who do you think they're gonna blame? Or it falls on, or,
Sure,
and if they scratch my new floors, I made
you-
sure that they.
But you make a decision about that.
Right, but as
When
a
you
whole
hire them,
year,
if you want to,
it affects
if you want to pay,
everybody.
if you want to pay
It's trickling down.
$30,000 for a kitchen instead of $20,000 or $15,000.
This is one household, we're representing
I
385 households.
y'all
We're
can vote on what you
responsible
want to
for
vote on.
people.
I told you, everybody has one vote here. No, y'all vote on what you want to do.
Well, we can argue the point though, which is what you're doing, so
I've already argued with you this point. We've argued this.
Guys, we need to move on.
Just one question where this is concerned. We do not normally we don't use tree trimmings maybe like once
Once a year.
a year or so.
If that.
Could we, when we want that to be done, we get someone that has insurance to do that?
We have
Can
a
we
tree
get
trimmer.
insurance and just do it?
We have a tree trimmer there. There aren't a lot.
Well, work comp policy that I'm trying to sell to the board, okay, it's less than $700 a year, and in the event that subcontractor is not insured or subcontractor hires somebody who's not insured, our policy will respond.
Okay, then I have a question.
Okay.
So then we could hire,
But I'm not here to talk about that.
and I want that.
Out of respect for.
Then we could, then if we had that.
No, because he has to have the right insurance.
Okay,
This
so
is
then
in
that
the
makes no
event-
sense, because we
Yes,
have
it does.
no employees, we don't
Richard,
need
you're
workers'
missing-
compensation for
Richard,
zero
Is
employees.
there a
Richard,
motion?
listen to me. Let me just clarify let me clarify his misunderstanding. Okay, Richard, what I'm saying is that your first line of defense is that the contractor is insured. If, in the event, he has somebody under the table who's not insured and dies or gets hurt, and the wife sues because he's not covered under work comp, which is very possible, if he's undocumented, for example, at least our policy will respond. It doesn't replace the work comp insurance that we require. You understand what I'm
It
saying?
protects the association.
Okay, it's the
let's-
second line of defense.
Let's move on, that, sorry, my question brought up.
No, but it's,
Yes,
it's correct what you
the
asked.
clean of the
for.
roof here. What's the status of that?
Henry can't do it.
No, sir.
Why?
No, he
That's
shouldn't
not
do
in
it.
his job description, sir, for J&L.
Well, we can say, let's not have that
Not
anyway, let's get
not-
all insured people to come to work here, let's
With
not,
respect, Mr.
then we
Wolf,
should not have a management company, because they could have to be liable for
with
something
respect
also.
to the board, Henry can pressure clean decks, floors, and groundwork. When he's going on top of a building, that is not in his job description. If you would like to speak to Jim about that, as Jim is the owner of the management company,
But he's done it
whatever.
for years.
he also works for different management companies. With respect, please have a conversation, one of the board, with the manager and owner of the management company, and whatever you all decide and what is instructed, that is what we will do.
Can I say
My
that I would get a little
Okay,
bit of you?
to agree with
I
what
know,
you're
I
saying.
I think we should pay the $300.
And have a
Okay.
separate
Have it-
company.
That's $300.
Then let's do that, I vote for doing that.
Yes, you
So
can
there's
share
that.
phone
It's
hours
$300,
With
right?
the vendor.
for $300, yes.
For free, thank you.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be giving people
And we need,
violations, and you look up at the roof that I'm 2 doors down from, and I'm like, oh,
The
that's not.
$300,
that's
okay.
pressure treatment.
Okay, so the board is in agreement for pressure cleaning up to $300 for the roofs of the clubhouse and its common areas.
Right.
That's great, thank you.
Okay,
My opinion on this whole insurance thing,
no,
let's
you
go.
better mind that, you better mind that.
Pressure cleaning now, next item? Yes, sir.
One more thing, since I'm at the table here.
Yes, sir.
Are we similar violations to homeowners that has their garbage containers in the front of the houses?
Management has not issued any violations yet until the common areas in the clubhouse are without approach. Right now, we have just taken care of the gates of the.
No, what I'm saying, your inspections, your,
Yes, sir. That will be part of the parameters.
we have not,
Yes,
but we will.
sir. It's in process for
Yeah.
February, sir, not for
I
January.
didn't understand what you did.
Let me
Yeah, can you, what,
Homeowners, let me explain. There are certain parameters in a property. You're to bring in your trash cans. I understand that. You're to have your home aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, we
You're
know
to
we
maintain-
need it, what,
I need
why?
to finish with what I'm saying, sir. For the beautification of the community, the area on the side of the clubhouse here where Henry has his maintenance area, we just now have put the metal in front of the gates so that his unsightly area in there with debris and trash cans and everything else is not visible from the street. If you are going to ask the homeowner to bring in their trash cans, it's very compromising to send out a violation when the clubhouse, and numerous people have sent them in, the clubhouse looks like this, you want to violate me for this, you want to charge me for this. So right now, management is taking all avenues to clean up the common areas, the management office, and all the aesthetics that any unit owner could receive a violation for.
I agree.
You know,
I agree, we
We should
allow,
be told about this in a previous
We-
meeting if that's what we wanted to do.
can I say something though? We allow the area, the neighborhood, the community to deteriorate. I've seen it deteriorate over the years. I'm not pointing blame, okay, but it's a fact. It has deteriorated. And we can't just take a leap into getting the homeowners to really correct all the whatever deficiencies or
Yes,
problems. We need to take baby steps and start introducing
Frank.
or enforcing, and I think,
Frank, you're new on the board, and let me just say this.
I'm new on the board, but I've
But-
lived here for 20 years.
But for 30 years, we had rules. And then for a certain period,
Yeah.
there were no rules at all. No, and then for a certain period, we started making rules. Her husband was on the board then, when we got rid of that old president. And her husband, and we started making rules again, and we improved the neighborhood little by little with as much money as we had that we could improve the neighborhood. But if you don't make the people keep their homes up, which they're doing better
You
at.
should.
If you don't make them keep their homes up, the whole neighborhood looks like.
I agree, but I don't think we can, I think we should take smaller steps and start with the,
No, we don't need, we've sent out so many violation letters that the people have just ignored. No, in the last 6 years, I'm giving you the last 6 years, that the people
but
just
why are they
ignored.
ignoring them, do you think?
Because nobody follows up on
You
it.
can't do anything.
But you have a
You can't do
proactive
okay.
management.
But I agree with Richard.
But you can on the.
We can't disregard the violations in the community because we have to fix this, we have to fix that. One thing has nothing to do with the other. Those are repairs that have to be done. They will always need repairs. There is no way that we're gonna do all the repairs before we start sending out violations.
Yeah, if they
That's
want,
not gonna
if
happen.
they
We
want.
only had 3
No,
things
but
to take care
basic
of.
things,
The
though,
pressure
if you're gonna
fixed.
make somebody pressure clean their roof,
That's
and our
right.
roof looks
But
like
we don't
crap.
wait for this, don't send out any violations to pressure clean your roof until after you do this.
Right.
But meanwhile, fix your garage door that's all
Yes.
smacked in, no, take your trash cans in and put them in your backyard like you're supposed to.
I agree.
Your commercial truck move from
Because
the
I'm not
truck.
sure if I'm clear about this. You have your trash can out, what's today? Okay, so yesterday, Tuesday and Friday.
You're supposed to
the trash
bring
can.
it in by Tuesday night.
Or the next
Friday
day.
night.
So on Wednesday, if my trash can is still out there or in front of my gate, before putting it into the backyard,
It's a violation.
that's crazy.
Yeah, but I
Or is
don't
there a
agree. I
warning,
don't
is there a
agree.
warning or like a friendly, like, because we're
Well,
not here about, hey, I got you, just come find me, just come find you.
No, no, no,
Because
no,
when
no,
some
no,
people are gonna-
You'll get a letter.
You're
You'll
going
get a
to
letter
have-
stating that your trash container needs to be.
And as all you do is send
Yeah,
an
yeah,
email and say, we won't have that happen anymore, and there's no problem.
But I don't agree with having the trash cans have to go in that same night, because there's a lot of people who
That
work
work
at night.
overnight and they're.
Okay, and I've spoken to several homeowners.
Nurses.
I think they should,
What about like having a checklist and saying, you're giving that warning, like, hey, friendly reminder, as per our bylaw, blah, 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 blah,
You are
blah. Your
correct.
trash can,
I like
and
that.
then when it's the second time,
Yeah.
this is your second warning.
That's
I
not
like
bad.
that, and that, Carlos, that's what I was,
They have that.
What you
suggested
have
to you.
right now.
yeah, because we can't make it do it the same way.
That's what I suggested earlier.
The following day, the whole following day, they have to pick up their trash can. But not that night, because people work, some people work at night,
For management.
and you give them the whole following day to do it. If they don't do it, then you send them a
Or the
violation.
individuals who I spoke with personally said,
Do
we
you
see
know
your
how many
trash cans
times
from the
she
gates
or
by the
any
clubhouse.
But then you
management
covered
company
it,
goes out
right?
and
We
inspects
did,
this
So we
out
have to do
and
it
sees
right.
a
What I
garbage can
did
outside?
From
Do you know,
November
you
1st
know
when
how
I
often
came
it
in.
happens?
Well, there's a lot of people who leave them out all the time.
I know, but do you know how, do you know how much, do you know how often they get violated?
We're gonna have the pressure cleaning done.
Do you know how often they get violated?
But we can't run them by the neck.
Once a year, twice a year, so all the other times they had it out there, nobody violated it. I say, so then you, I agree, we send a letter, and if they write back and say, okay, we won't do it anymore, no, okay, we have that in a file. And then when they do it again, no, then you can find it.
Right, exactly, I agree.
We're doing it in English and Spanish?
Again, the
We
word,
should.
well, English,
Back and
Spanish, and Creole are
Do
the
we have a lot of
three.
those?
We know how to.
Ufu, that's all I know.
Indian, we have Indian,
Creole.
No,
Pakistan.
Richard, no. Read to the basics.
With Spanish, English, and
With
Creole.
the translations, English is the official language of Florida. If communities are going to the Miami-Dade County standard, most of the notices for evictions, for anything that's posted within the county, there are 3 languages. It's English, Spanish, and Creole.
Right, but what is predominantly here is English and Spanish.
Yeah.
So I think
We
you
also
should
have
do.
Asian, no.
No, but you, like the basic, like Miami-Dade County Public
The
Schools.
demographics
That's
are
three.
what's here. All I'm saying to you is whatever the board's language, the board would like to display, that's fine. If you want to have additional languages on the website, it's very easy to convert it so that people can have an area to look.
Do we have more than one language on the website?
We can choose different languages.
Do we have more than one?
No, right now it's English, but you have the choice of choosing and have it translate.
Do
Yeah.
English and Spanish, back and front, one pager.
Yeah. Oh,
And the little
fine.
friendly violation, a half page.
And maybe a reference for those who speak Creole to go to the website.
Can I do something about notices in 2 languages? Because my partners don't speak any English, my business partners, they never have. And every time they get a notice from a lawyer, from anybody, they bring it to me to read to them. And everybody in the neighborhood that gets a notice from Arbella Park and says, no, you're in violation, can ask somebody to read it to them because everybody knows an American or somebody that's bilingual.
Or they could call the management office and ask the management.
I know. If we
I think we should do English and Spanish.
if we start doing, it just costs us more money
Why?
because we gotta pay them to do the 2 different.
Give it to me and I'll have my ESOP.
That's ridiculous, 385. I mean, that takes.
Everything costs money. You say it's ridiculous, but every dollar we spend next year when we have to raise the assessment again,
Okay, wait,
then everybody's gonna
Let's
yell
look
at
at the
us.
But if you
difference.
translate English to Spanish, that costs us more money?
I am not aware
No.
of.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Printing 2 sides of a page costs us more money than printing 1.
It wasn't cost of
Okay,
the
it's-
actual translation, what Mr. Wolf is explaining.
In black and white,
Postage, mailing,
it's
handling,
3
there's
cents
a charge for additional
copy.
pages.
So if you, oh,
So
you're
what,
mailing out.
So we
those.
pay 25
Because
cents per
everyone
copy.
is
What are you
not
talking
on
about? We pay
email
them.
authorization to
25%
receive
per
by
copy.
email.
That's our
When we
contract.
do mail out, there's cost for copies, printing, paper, supplies, postage.
And if we have 2,
Why are we paying 25 cents per copy?
that's what we agreed to,
I know we agreed to that. Why would you agree to 25 cents per copy?
because that's what they wanted.
Okay, well, does that preclude us from going outside to,
No, she can
to
print
office
them here. She
I
can
can
print
print
them
it here at
here.
your location.
Because it's 5 cents.
She can print them
Your
here.
office maintains the copier,
On a-
the mail outs and everything.
Yeah, on a small printer, it might be 6 cents, 7 cents per black and white copy, right?
And who's
8
gonna
cents.
write it? She doesn't speak Spanish.
We did
You
have
don't speak
participation
Spanish.
from Ms. Dean.
I can't write Spanish.
Carlos,
He doesn't
You
speak
know what, my wife
Spanish.
will write it.
No.
My wife will write it.
Well, Dean doesn't speak Spanish.
No, but I'll take it to my ESOL, girl,
There you go.
Maureen, can you check me? Like she does all the stuff on me.
Okay, Carlos, the price difference will be $15.40
For what?
to print back and forth, because it's per copy. $15.40.
Per copy.
Cents.
Per copy.
Per page.
$15.40, how many pages? It's just
I
a
think
single
it's
page, right?
per page.
So just a single page. So either it's 385 copies printed or double, right? Because it's
Right.
two-sided.
That is for one sheet with one piece of
Call it
information.
$25.
But if you have additional information for the community, such as when the decals, management's composing a community letter that addresses each area, so that it's a reference sheet coming out for the new access system, for the violations, it's a community letter that is coming out.
Then
to
send out
advise
fewer
everyone.
notices and just have the residences go to the website.
Well, but still, everyone needs to be
Maybe.
made aware of how their avenue of communication is available to them.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, we mail it out, we email it.
So how many mailings do we have a year?
I got the
At
information.
the annual meeting.
I just sent you my
have your
information
budget,
to your
that's two,
phone.
I know out for sure. Those are
A
just
mailing usually costs us around $500.
Annual, yes, sir.
Right, a mailing usually costs us around $500. If we're gonna do it in 2 languages, it's gonna cost us more. And per page, it's gonna cost us more.
You already got it.
Wait. say mailing, that includes postage.
Postage.
Well, postage is the same for two-sided
I agree.
pages
I agree.
than as.
I understand.
So it's the cost of double-side printing, which is the 8 cents or 10 cents, we'll call it 15 cents if you like, at 385 pages if it's a single sheet. And then the mailing, the labor is no different. This piece of paper is one-sided, if it's two-sided, the labor, the coal, stuff in an envelope, etc., to run the envelope, the address, to place the stamp is all the same. That cost doesn't change. It's just the cost of printing on
I
the.
make a motion that we table this discussion until our next meeting, and we'll all think about it, and then come back our next meeting and decide whether we're going to be bilingual in all our paperwork or
I
not.
second that motion.
And all in favor?
All right.
Thank you. We pass it.
Let's move on.
Next.
I'm finished.
I have something, which is I took a look at the ACC form, and I know Diane has been working on some revisions, but I noticed some deficiencies in it, and so I'm going to put together, some suggested changes to the form and the instruction sheets, and I meant to bring it to this meeting today, but I didn't have enough time.
Okay. Yeah, it is a little blank, so.
Yeah, so I did some research, I looked at what other associations do, I read through the instructions. Just as a quick example, if you look at our form, there's no real parallel to these. Maybe now there is more because you kind of tweaked it.
The one I gave you is the one JNL has. I have a separate one that's a legal sheet.
Okay, well, that's what she has.
So we'll look at that.
I will send it to
Bring
you
it
for
in,
your
we'll-
review.
we'll take a
and
look
then
at it.
Yeah.
it looks good, let me
I have
know.
And it may be something,
Yeah.
simply I'm just going to come in with my input and then whoever,
Yes,
anyone else is more than welcome to.
We'll present it to the board and
One tomorrow.
Yeah, and you may have other ideas from other people, but the observations I made are obvious.
Christina,
Okay.
can you please send an email to me? Yes.
Moving right along.
Address and-
Anybody else?
Email.
No? Okay, I make a motion to, we have any comment? I'm sorry. You have any, okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
What time is it, please?
9 minutes past 8.